Good evening, everyone. Innovation distinguishes between a leader and a follower. Today, on the occasion of World Entrepreneurship Day, with an aim of celebrating entrepreneurship, leadership, and innovation, we are here to formally announce the inauguration of BHAU's Entrepreneurship Cell of College of Engineering Pune for the academic year 2021 and 2022. BHAU's Cell, since its formation, has always strived to ignite a spirit of entrepreneurship among students and encouraged them to think creatively. It has helped the students identify and solve problems of the society by organizing various events, keynote lectures, seminars, workshops, and entrepreneurship summits. Bauzi Cell is a bridge between students, staff, Institute's Innovation Council, and alumni. It is a place where you meet and interact with new people, a place where you come together and work together as a team. One of the major events organized by Bhaus eCell is Pune Startup Fest. We successfully completed the third edition of Pune Startup Fest in February this year. We have with us today Mr. Ashok Ramchandran, President of Schindler India, Mr. Prabhakaran Murugaya, CEO of TechFetch, Professor M.J. Rathod, Dean Faculty Affairs, Dr. P.R. Dhamangaonkar, Dean Student Affairs, Dr. Mrs. Madhuri Karnik, and Mr. Rahul Adhav, Faculty Advisors of Bhaus eCell. We are extremely delighted to have all the dignitaries with us today. On behalf of entire eCell team, I welcome you all to the inauguration. I would now request Karnik ma'am to give us some more insight about BHAU's eCell and our Institute's Innovation Council.
Ma'am, you are inaudible. Ma'am, you are muted.
Am I audible?
Yes, now you are.
Yes, ma'am.
A very good evening to one and all. We have gathered virtually here to celebrate World Entrepreneurship Day by inaugurating our Bhaus eCell. We have with us today honorable guest Mr. Ashok Ramchandran, CEO and President of Schindler India, and Mr. Prabhakaran Murugaya, founder and CEO techfetch.com. He is joining from Washington, D.C. We have with us Professor M.J. Rathod, Dean Faculty Affairs, and Dr. P.R. Dhamangaonkar, Dean Students Affairs. My faculty colleagues, Rahul Adhav sir and Sapnil Mai, my dear students. It gives me immense pleasure to be a part of Bhaus eCell to plan the activities and guide students for their smooth conduction and finally see them happen. Bhaus eCell is an integral part of Institute Innovation Council. We acronym it as IIC. It is the apex body that governs and guides all the innovation and entrepreneurial activities in the campus. Under the aegis of IIC, we conduct the activities mandated by All India Council for Technical Education and self-driven activities. Our Bhaus eCell is founded in 2006. The seed sown at that time has become a sapling now, and we aim at making it a big banyan tree to give shelter to many students in terms of support and guidance. To celebrate World Entrepreneurship Day, we formally inaugurate eCell every year, and this inauguration kickstarts the activities of the year. We have a very vibrant eCell to introduce and familiarize new students to the entrepreneurship and startup ecosystem, and then to make them a part of this startup ecosystem. It is one of the unique students club at COEP, which is run by students and mentored by faculty and supported by college. eCell conducts a lot of activities such as different competitions, keynote lectures, seminars, development programs for students and faculty. We felicitate the failures and success stories of our own student entrepreneurs. Since last 3 years, we have been conducting a startup fest, which hosts on an average 100 startups, 70 to 80 investors, and equal number of mentors. And the fest records a footfall not less than 10,000. The maximum of 2 crore rupees of investment was promised in the fest, and 400 startup internships provided to the students. Last year, even in the situation of pandemic, we did not miss the fest. We conducted it online, and still we had 84 startups, 60 investors, and almost same number of mentors. There are many advantages of conducting the fest. It gives an opportunity to students to organize and manage the fest. They get to know a pool of investors and mentors. They get to know various incubators, co-working spaces in and around Pune. They get familiarized with professional and government bodies like TIE, CII, State Innovation Council, etc. And of course, the sponsoring agencies and industries. ESEL also conducts, and our students also participate in hackathons, idea and pitching competitions held nationally and internationally. This year, we have planned some new additions to the list of events: an intercollegiate design thinking competition, and another event with investors. Will teach the students that investors
Pardon
for...
me, ma'am. Are you showing the presentation?
No, I am not showing.
Okay.
I have not shared any presentation. I am just speaking without presentation. Can you hear me?
Yes, ma'am. Yes, ma'am.
Okay. So I was talking about the new additions to the events this year. It is intercollegiate design thinking competition, then event with investors, which will teach students that what investors look for in a startup. We are going to add a modified version of idea competition this year, which is called as SCAMPER, which is an acronym for substitute, combine, adapt, modify, prototype, eliminate, and rearrange. One more competition which will test critical thinking of students and communication skills is also planned. With such diversified activities, College of Engineering Pune last year received first rank in Atal ranking of institutes on innovation achievements, known as ARIA ranking, under the category of government aided colleges. I would like to announce one very awaited news to the students, that from this year onwards, we are implementing the innovation and startup policy for students and faculty, and all the students can take advantage of this policy, and they can have their own startups. There are many facilities provided in this policy, wherein you can have a seed funding, you can have use lab facilities and equipments in the lab, you can have co-working spaces. The policy is put up on the website of COEP. Anybody can go to the URL and see the policy and make use of it. We have a huge support from our director, Professor B.B. Ahuja, Deputy Director, Professor M.S. Sutavne, all the deans. We have support of Gymkhana, Dean Students Affairs, my faculty colleagues, especially Mr. Rahul Ladhav, Mr. Swapnil Mari, and Dr. Abhishek More, and many others. I also must mention here that we get a vast support and guidance from Bhau Institute, especially from Mr. Vijay Talele, CEO Bhau Institute, and Mr. Girish Degaukar, executive at Bhau. We also have an enthusiastic support from our alumni in all respects, be it monetary, be it guidance and mentoring, you name it, and they are there for us. Last but most important, our students. We have a very enthusiastic, energetic, and intelligent pool of students in ECell who make all the events successful. With this, I actually thank our deans who are present here, Professor Rathod, Professor Dhamangaonkar, our guest of honor, Mr. Prabhakar Murugaiya, all the students, faculty colleagues. The event is fruitful only because of the presence of you all, and that only gives us energy to work throughout the year. With this, I request the team members to introduce themselves briefly to the audience. Thanks a lot.
Good evening, everyone. Myself, Kaivalya Nandurkar. I'm the current ECL secretary for the academic year 2021-2022. Thank you.
Good evening, everyone. I'm Bharat Udgirkar, Accounts and Documentation Portfolio.
Hello everyone, I am Vaibhav Somani. I am head of accounts and documentation.
Hello everyone, my name is Pritesh Shambarkar, Head Events and Networking.
Hello all, I am Akash Jole. I am heading my finance and marketing portfolio.
Hello everyone, I am Kimaya Abhyankar and I am heading Finance and Marketing Portfolio.
Hello everyone, I am Vaibhavi Maiskar. I am heading Public Relations Portfolio.
Hello everyone, I am Vaishnavi Sabe and I am heading Public Relations Portfolio.
Hello everyone, this is Samoy Gulwadikar. I'll be heading Alumni Outreach Portfolio for this academic year. Thank you.
Hello everyone, I'm Ariman Agrawal and I'll be heading Alumni Outreach Group for this academic year.
Hello everyone, I am Aishwarya and I'll be heading Investor Relations Portfolio.
Hello everyone, this is Suyog Deshmukh and I will be heading Investor Relations Portfolio. Thank you.
Prathamesh, you are muted.
Heading for Events and Networking.
Hello everyone, myself Rashmi Murik and I am heading Web Portfolio this year.
Hello everyone, I am Pranav Dabre and I am heading Design team this year.
Hello everyone, I am Ishika Panja and I'm also heading Design team.
Good evening everyone, my name is Gaurav Pandey and I'll be leading the publicity portfolio for this academic year. Thank you.
Hello everyone, I am Aditya Ule and I'll be heading the operations portfolio this year. Thank you.
Hello everyone, I am Omkar Mahajan, Operations Head.
Hello everyone, I am Ankit Murade. I am heading Logistic Portfolio.
Kaivalya, can we proceed?
Yes, ma'am. Kimaya.
Thank you, everybody. Thank you, everybody, for introducing. Please proceed.
Yes, ma'am.
Yes, ma'am. Thank you, Karnik ma'am, for enlightening us. Also, today in the meet, we have Mr. Vijay Talere, sir, who is the CEO of Bhav Institute, and we formally invite you and welcome you to the inaugural ceremony. Also, we have Dr. Ravi Arora, sir, and we also invite you to the formal inauguration. Now I would like to request our Dean Faculty Advisor, Professor M.J. Rathod, to formally inaugurate Bhav's ECell and share his views on the same. Over to you, sir.
Good evening, everybody. Am I audible? So, today being World Entrepreneurship Day, I congratulate all the team of students, faculty in charge, Dr. Madhuri Karnik Madam, Mr. Talele from Bhav Institute, that The entrepreneurship cell activity for this year is going to start today. In fact, as Madam has said, from this year onwards, all the students as well as faculty members who want to put their hands in the entrepreneurship arena, Institute has come up with the policy and the provisions which Madam has said are available on college website. As Dean faculty, because faculty was involved, Madam also asked me to chip in the formulation of the policy. So a small bit was added from my side also in the formulation. So I feel very happy that the policy is going to come up, and I hope that in future, not only the faculty members but also the students will take full advantage of this facility and cope for becoming entrepreneur rather than seekers of the jobs. That major changeover is expected from the entrepreneurship cell. So I once again congratulate all the team. I welcome Prabhakaran sir, Ashok Ramchandran sir, so that their talks will further invigorate our students to go ahead with the entrepreneurship aim. So I formally here declare that the e-cell is inaugurated for the year 2021-22. Thank you.
Thank you, sir. Thank you, sir. Your thoughtful words have inspired each of us to a great extent. Our first keynote speaker is the CEO of TechFetch, an internationally renowned technical job portal. Taking inspiration from his father, he decided to dive into the entrepreneurial world and hence formed his own company, Corp, now known as TechFetch. He is none other than Mr. Prabhakaran Murugeya. Prabhakaran sir strongly believes that if you are passionate enough, you can surely create opportunities not only for yourself but for others as well. We are extremely delighted to have you with us, sir, and we would love to hear more about your entrepreneurial journey.
Thank you very much, and good evening, everyone. Glad and honored to be part of this. There is nothing more than being part of the ceremony on the Entrepreneurship Day. And thanks for putting all this together, especially on a Saturday, bringing all the aspiring entrepreneurs who are more keen on changing the world, I would say. We have a lot of problems to solve. I think I have about 20 minutes, so I'll make it very short and sweet, mostly on a very high level, but that will give you some guidance and information where we are going, how we are going, what are the opportunities are available. So let me do a quick presentation. And again, thank you very much, and glad and honored to be part of this event. Let me share my screen. All right, are you able to see my screen?
Yes, sir.
Yes.
Right. Okay, my presentation is going to cover these 5 major bullet points: what happened in the past, what's happening now, and what will happen in future. Maybe means like what will happen from now, post-pandemic, I would say. And then why entrepreneurship? We all, thinking about entrepreneurship. There should be a reason for why entrepreneurship and why now. When we know that we want to be an entrepreneur and we want to start now, and how. So those are some high-level points I would like to cover. My background, I'm from a very small village called Kirambur, which is the south tip of India. Literally about an hour drive from Kanyakumari, the south tip of India, to inland. And my school, in a village. This is how I started my studies. Why I bring these two things into the context is if you want to be successful and if you want to be an entrepreneur and if you want to achieve your dreams, wherever you are, however you are, what you brought in and what you had when you are at childhood, nothing matters. You can propel and get whatever you want. It all requires your mindset and the willingness to proceed. And you will fail many times. That's okay. Just get up and running. So that's the two contexts that I wanted to give. And many of you probably have maybe 100 times, 1,000 times, or more than that, what we had when we started our life and we started our journey. So if don't be afraid of jumping into the journey. It's going to be very fruitful, very rewarding, and very enjoyable. All right, so now let's talk about what happened in the past. Right? Many of you, since it is engineering and you all want to be likely to be in technology or technology powered many industries, understanding what happened in the past is very, very important. So you probably know or aware that the PC revolution started in 1970s when IBM mainframe is sliced into smaller pieces, so where we can operate from home or small offices. Then 1990, internet became major adoption in many places. It took about 20 years from personal computing revolution to internet revolution. And then this generation era, your era, which started 10 years ago in a massive way, where anybody and everybody spend more time with mobile than their parents or teachers or anything, right? It's glued into your heart. So that's the mobile revolution. So it took about 20 years for this major revolution happen. Right? That's what happened. Okay, what's happening now? Just think about it. What's happening now? We all had these three, but I would say these three are foundation to build 100 floors of skyscraper. So the computing, the internet, and the mobile combined put a very strong foundation to propel into new, bigger opportunities. So 5 areas are happening using these foundations. Number one, 5G. You all know that just getting in, that's happening now. Imagine from 2G to 3G to 4G, how much power we had. The 5G is going to be 100 times more powerful than the 4G, not about 2G or 3G. From 4G to 5G, it's 100 times more powerful. So, okay, now you have fastest internet, but do you have a battery on your mobile? So that's next revolution coming in with the energy. Your phone, which is faster computer than the first computer started in 1990. Our mobile phones are 100 times faster than the first PCs, or even 1,000 times more memory. Now you have the processing power, and all of that data is stored in cloud. That is being assisted with AI, and automation. All these are going to get connected with the robotics in industrial engineering. So imagine how these 5 major technologies are going to change, and imagine the opportunities anywhere and everywhere. So just give a little bit thought on these 5. Every 20 years that one revolution came, now we are talking about 5 revolution in 5 years. So imagine the size and magnitude of this opportunity. Okay, because of this 5, what will happen, right? All right, let me ask a question. Our parents, my parents, your grandparents, are likely to work, or maybe they might have worked 80 to 60 to 80 hours. So that's the kind of history, right? Depends on where they are, what they did. So this is a graph of number of work hours in the last 200 years. On average, the expectation is about 40 hours for the current, my generation, I would say, your parents and your elders, like kind of thing. My question to you now, what will happen in the next 20 years? This is the graph going down, and what will happen in the next 20 years? Or if I give an opportunity, or if you get an opportunity, say, how many hours will you work? Would you prefer to work 30 hours work week, maybe 6 hours a day for 5 days, and then remaining 30 hours, 20 hours, go and do what you like, maybe a music, maybe a sports, maybe a passion of, some other work, not for money, but maybe a partial money? Or how many of will you say yes? Ask yourself. That is likely to happen in the next 20 years, which means we are moving from the 40 hours regular traditional work week to 30 hours regular work week, and maybe another job, may not be another job, maybe 10 hours, 20 hours of volunteers. So 10 hours, 20 hours of doing something that you are very passionate. Okay, I'll tell you why that is also happening. You also think about, imagine Y2K problem, you probably aware of it, or some other issues. But imagine a 40 hours work week become a 30 hours work week, which means the 3 shifts to 4 shifts we are transitioning. Everybody, if there are 24/7 operation, now it's only 6 hours a shift, then you need to have 4 shifts to do the same thing, which means 30% increase in number of workers, and the whole life cycle changes, timing changes, collaboration changes, all of that will happen, right? Massive disruption. And then we are also moving from knowledge economy to skill economy. Again, this topic itself in a 1-hour discussion, what is happening in the knowledge economy to skill economy. I'll give a very quick glimpse of it. In the past, if someone say graduated with either economics or agriculture or engineering, teaching, anything, as long as they have a degree, they are likely to get a job and get hired, because all they look for knowledge, and they will get trained in the job, and then they will continue to go for their job, because people work for 10 years, 15 years, 20 years in the same company. So it's worth for them to put time and effort to create that workforce. Now, most of them do not work or do not prefer to work. Maybe your generation asks the question, how many years that you are willing to commit to join a company? If many of us as an employer, when we ask the candidates saying that, are you willing to work with us for 2 years? No, not even 2 years, right? And how do you expect a company to invest on you? Or if you hire somebody and if they don't want to work for even 2 years, would you prefer somebody with a knowledge, or do you prefer somebody with a skill? So now every employer expected to have their resources have some skills which will reduce my time in developing them. So we are moving from knowledge economy to skill economy. So when you are coming out of your college, the degree will not be enough to get you into a better opportunity. This degree with the skill is going to make a major difference. Similarly, what I told, like the second work, right? 30 hours will be your full time, another 20 hours, maybe 30 hours, or maybe 10 hours will be your part time, which is already happening in a rapid expansion way. So we call it gig economy. So 50% of the new workforce, or when you guys coming out of colleges, you are likely to be part of the gig economy. It could be content writing, it could be digital marketing, or it could be teaching, or it could be research, anything. Do something on your passion in addition to your regular work. Even you are getting a full-time job, 40 hours, 50 hours a week, do some time and be part of the gig economy. because in the gig economy, everybody is an entrepreneur. And that's what's happening in the US, and that's happening globally. And the pandemic accelerated those efforts. The third is artificial intelligence. You probably may not even know how much power that you have on your hand. Maybe, if you have Android phone, say, okay, Google, schedule a call. My phone is already active.
On September 16th at 4 p.m. you have Thai DC board meeting.
See, I just say, okay, Google, then it started listening to me. And then that's the AI that is being with us, because computers can hear, they can speak, they can see, they can think even partially, right? So just one word, somebody is listening 24/7. And AI is going to assist every person, from a layman and illiterate to anybody, from doctors to scientists to astronauts. The AI is going to help. So the skill economy is going to be more powerful, because everybody will have hundreds of AI assistants with nearby or part of them. Then the important discussion point: why entrepreneurship and why now? Ask the question again between yourself, and maybe have a group. Ask everybody why you want to be an entrepreneur. Do you want to be an entrepreneur because you don't want to work? You want to be an entrepreneur because you want to make money? You want to be an entrepreneur because you want to try what is different? No, that should be a fundamental reason for the why. Find out 3 reasons why you want to be an entrepreneur, right? Who are entrepreneurs? Ask that question. Is he a visionary? Is he a leader? Is he a disruptive thinker? Is he a wealth creator? Is he a problem solver? Ask all these questions, and the answer is yes, 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 yes on everything. So rather than being an employee, if you are an entrepreneur, you are a multi-dimensional human being with a lot more power, where you are trying to solve a problem. In that, when you're solving the problem, you are creating opportunity for you and others. That is how the entrepreneurship works. And why now, right? That's also an important thing. Now you have an answer. Why now? With the opportunities that we are seeing, the industry is changing, workforce mindset is changing, we have humongous opportunity. I'll summarize why you want to be an entrepreneur, why now. So there are 5: because of the major disruption in technology, because of the behavioral changes, because of the next generation mindset changes. These are the 5 areas that likely to be a disruption, right? One is 30 hours work week, which requires to solve problem in anybody and everybody, every company, every school. Imagine if the school is only 3 days a week, and colleges are only 3 days a week. What will happen, right? Even from time schedule changes, pick up drop, to all those things are likely to come, because it's inevitable. The post-pandemic world is going to be different. We were projecting all these 5 will happen in 2025 and beyond, but the pandemic accelerated this situation. When we are coming out of this pandemic, we are already started. The massive behavioral change has been happened. You are likely to choose a company where they say that you come and work for only 3 days a week, 2 days you can work from home, and somebody says that you need to come and work 5 days a week at the office. With the current workforce crisis, which one you will prefer? So every company will force to adopt these kind of changes. So 30 hours work week. And then the gig economy. You may be saying that, hey, I'm happy to come and work for you for 3 days, but the remaining 2 days I'll do something else. So you will likely to do that. And that will increase the quality of life by 4 times, right? What does it mean, the quality of life 4 times? You probably may not know what was the quality of life for us when we did the college, and when we have to go to the libraries, we had to take the books, and we had to take the notes. Now all of that in your mobile. So you may not even know your quality of life is increased already 10 times. How many times that you learned even before your teachers taught you. That's the quality of life. And what to do, what not to do, the discussion points, what's happening in the world, the information, access, the data, and the healthcare, right? Those kind of things. And then the long life. This is again an important piece of that I want to touch, especially for the entrepreneurs. So previously, you graduate and you work for 30, 35 years, maybe 40 years, and then get retired at 60, and then the life expectancy is about maybe 70, 75. Today, the life expectancy increased from 70 to 90 in the current generation, I mean my generation, especially in the US because of healthcare and other things. And your generation, the life expectancy is going to be more than that, right? Imagine you want to retire at 60 and you want to live another 30 years in a retired life. That's not likely to happen. You see, even the current generation, in our generation, how many of them are healthy, able to run and spend quality life, and inactive, kind of very, very brisk and energy in 70, 75. So think of not retiring at 60. You need to take a job and explore it and save money, buy a house, buy a car, and then retire in 65. No, that is not the life that the next generation wants. They may say that after my graduation, I will experience the entrepreneur's journey for 2 years, 5 years. Rather, instead of retiring in 60, I will retire in even 70. Even 10 years is gone, I'm okay with that. 5 years is gone, I'm okay with that. Because you have that opportunity to take that risk. Our parents, do not have that luxury of experimenting something and taking a risk because they have kids, they need to feed them on a daily basis, and they don't have a roof on their head. They have to take the public transportation. All of that they need to overcome. So they put 80 hours of work to meet the basic needs. And my generation, they have a roof on their head, and we did not go hunger on a daily basis. But imagine what you have. You have everything. The work, what you want to go for work, 90% of the current generation, they want to switch from Android to iPhone. That's what's happening in the current generation, right? The expectation is different. The risk you have, the ability to explore your life, the ability to experiment, your risk is zero. Nobody's going to even ask. Even parents say that if you don't want to work for a couple of years, that's fine. We can afford you. We can take care of you. Who will have that kind of opportunity? I'm telling you, even your kids, I'm not sure will have this kind of an opportunity with the freedom and flexibility to explore what you want. And then the skill economy is going to make a difference. If you change from a knowledge to skill, you're going to be most valuable person in the world. So I have 5 more minutes to quickly wrap it up. So why, what is fueling these 5 things? The 30 hours work week, anybody and everybody can work from anywhere, which is accelerated by 5G, cloud computing, those kind of things. And gig economy is predominantly managed by AI and automation. So whatever the work you do, it can be captured and you can get paid. And then the quality of life with the energy and battery, you will not have any disruption, right? That's a major opportunities coming in. In the long life, a lot of things are happening in healthcare, especially with the genome therapy. So, if anybody interested in healthcare, those kind of biomedical, bioinformatics, it's a humongous opportunity again. The skill economy is going to be fueled and powered by industrial IoT and robotics. So these are just keywords to identify what opportunities are available, where you want to go, depends on where you want to go solve the problem, right? And 20 to 30% of things, whatever happened in the past, the pandemic, we adopted that. The behavioral changes prove that learn from home will work. Work from home, it's accelerated. Entertainment is at home. Most of the movies are released on online and TVs, and healthcare is happening at home. And even agriculture, home garden, aquaponics, all of that is coming in. So 30% of things can happen at home, that's not likely to happen at office or industrial. So that's again a massive change. So what next and how you should pursue that and why? it's not likely to build a company or any more company to come and create 100,000 jobs, which is not likely to happen. What is likely to happen is there will be 100,000 small entrepreneurs, young, energetic leaders like you, visionaries like you. If every one of you probably will create 10 small jobs, which can create a million jobs. That is how the future is available. And why that is happening, right? You need to know that why 100,000 jobs cannot be created by a single company, new company. In my view, there won't be any new company will come and create 100,000 jobs, but there will be 100,000 small companies will create a million jobs. And that there was a reason, like how things are happened in 90s to 2020. The software is being transformed to SaaS, right? There may be 10, 15 softwares. Now there are hundreds of SaaS companies. Again, one of the companies that I have invested is in Pune. Very, really, really nice place. I visit Pune many times. And then the SaaS economy is fueling a lot. If there are 10 companies in software, now there are 100 companies in SaaS. Now the next generation is going to be API economy, or it's already started. There may be thousands, even hundreds of thousands of companies will create APIs and build tech. Why you want to be an entrepreneur? Entrepreneurs are new age freedom fighters, in my view. You have a lot of problems to solve, and you can solve problem like poverty, humongous problem, huge problems, and hunger, and farmers. You have to change the way that they live, and how we can prevent them into major disasters, and how we can educate people. All of these technologies, all of these are power given to solve the most needy people. There are billions of people who are in need of solving this. And if every one of us come together to connect everybody and then make it work, we are going to build a huge value and giving back to the society. And then finally, this is my last slide. What makes an entrepreneur to be successful, and what makes the entrepreneurship journey to be successful? I'll tell you three things. It's a generic 1, 2, 3 of my day, and that's I'm doing for last 13 years. Number one, exercise. Do at least 1 hour of exercise every day, because that's the core DNA of an entrepreneur. If you cannot take care of yourself, you cannot take care of anybody. Why I am specifically mentioning this is your brain will force you not to exercise every day, right? You have to overcome. You should not depend on your brain. You should work on overcoming your brain, and on a daily basis, right? So entrepreneurship is like that. You need to overcome the obstacles, and you have to have a very strong mindset. Number two, learning. I spend 1 hour a day in learning. Sometimes maybe 15 minutes of blogs or small videos, combination of things. And if all you need to do is just learn one thing every day, which will give you 365 new things and 3,650 learnings in 10 years. That's a massive power. You need to know what happened in the past, what's happening now, what will happen in future. Finally, give back. Give back 1 hour. So 1 hour of exercise, 1 hour of learning, and 1 hour of give back. Every one of us can give 1 hour back. We have 24 hours a day. Personally, we probably may not need more than 8 hours a day for yourself, and then the remaining 16 hours for somebody, partially for job, partially for entrepreneurship. But start giving 1 hour. It could be teaching somebody. It could be even taking somebody and dropping somebody, or buy something for your neighbor, and start giving that 1 hour. It will come back 10 times more. I do that predominantly. Even I would consider this seminar is a giving back. And follow this. If every one of us started giving 1 hour back, you see massive amount of things coming back, and it will help the next generation, your peers, even everybody can give something back. Thank you very much for the opportunity. I wish everyone good luck. This is the best time to be an entrepreneur, and don't lose this great opportunity. Good luck, everyone. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Prabhakaran sir, for taking out your invaluable time for us. We are really inspired by your entrepreneurial journey of TechFetch and your passion about technology and the correct timeline of how entrepreneurship is accelerating as a career. I'm sure it has sown seeds of entrepreneurship and gig economy that you talked about in our audience while listening to your nuance on entrepreneurship. If anyone from the audience has any questions, you can put them in the chat box. We can take a few. Yeah, I see a few questions. Sir,
Sir, before you say something, I just want to tell Prabhakaran sir that you have given a valuable advice to our students. Thanks a lot for that.
Thank you very much.
Okay, so Akash has this question. He's asking, sir, you mentioned that the biggest change in this generation want is from Android to iPhone. So how to counter that wealth versus status scheme?
No, so you need to first educate the parents. Like, they need to educate the parents that what the kids want, right? They are thinking that their kids has to be comfortable, and they don't want them. Hey, our generation, we struggled a lot. I don't want my kids to have a struggle. So I keep telling my peers and everybody saying that get your kid or children to be a successful hunter rather than just be on the cage and you feed them. Don't think like that. They need to go and fight and chase and achieve their dream, right? That's how they need to. There are problems they can solve. They are capable of doing that. They have more power to fly beyond the horizon. So I would encourage the parents to convince them. One example I'll tell you. If children come back after work, maybe 2 hours late, 3 hours late, and they're telling that, quit this job, don't spend more time. If you cannot come back from work at 6 o'clock, don't take the job. No, they need to advise that this is the time that you can work hard. We will take care of whatever you can. That is how they should advise. And they don't know. They are capable. They are willing to work hard. They are willing to chase the dreams out, anything and everything. And the people, the current generation listening power is very low because their mind is corrupted with phones and social media, right? Which is every generation there was a problem, and they have a lot of knowledge, they have a lot of power. So ask yourself, if you have a friend and saying that I don't want to work, I want this, anything anybody say if and but, you're not going to be successful. I want a job, period. I want a job if the company is in tech. I want a job if the company is in IoT. No, go and experiment. Learning something new is more rewarding than the money. Learning anything that you don't know, whether do or don't, is going to be more valuable. So put yourself saying that I need to be better than yesterday. That's it. Nothing else matters.
Thank you for answering and addressing that question. There's one last question from Suyog. He's asking, sir, what about employment relationship in gig industry, as there is regular conflict around the rights of workers and concerned platforms that allows businesses to control and treat freelancers as employees without providing the cost?
Yeah, this is evolving. The gig economy is a new buzzword, but this has been existing for several hundred years. If you have a maid at home who's coming and doing that work and they're getting paid either daily or weekly or monthly, again, they're a gig economy. You are not on their payroll. You're not paying them benefits. They are not paying them a pension. Imagine how many people are like that. And in an old way, there are people who goes and do farm work and they get paid every day. They are all gig economy. So the technology, the words are buzzing, and the only thing is, instead of taking your bicycle and go to their house and bring them to work, you're now using a mobile phone to bring them in. That's it. That's the difference. So it evolves. There will be more and more people are coming in. There will be more and more problems, but it will get solved. End of the day, The workforce crisis is going to be the bigger crisis than this current pandemic. That's what we are predicting, where we are seeing as a bigger opportunity. That will create a streamlined, government will take last step to solve that problem. But within the companies, hey, if I don't get enough workforce to get the work done, what I will do? So I will make the work available, easy, make them comfortable, and get the work done. And in my view, half of the work that does not require thinking will be automated. So, and the remaining 50%, people who are even partially thinking will be assisted by AI. So the world need only 50% of workforce. Remaining 50% will be entrepreneurs. So that's my quick answer to that.
Thank you so much, sir. So I'd like to, moving on, I'd like to invite today, we have a multi-talented person, the president of Schindler India, Mr. Ashok Ramachandran. It is the result of his determination and consistent hard work that Schindler is leading global provider of escalators and elevators. He is an instrumentation and control engineering graduate from SRM University and has pursued masters in industrial engineering from the Swinburne University of Technology, Melbourne, Australia. With sheer dedication and perseverance, he has mastered his communication and negotiation skill set and is a true practitioner of the concept of being one's own marketing engineer. I'd like to take this wonderful opportunity to welcome you, Ashok sir, and request you to extend your thought on how one can achieve obscene success. Over to you, sir.
Thank you so much for the lovely introduction. Good evening, students. And also, Prabhakaran, was lovely listening to you for the last 30 minutes. I also learned quite a lot of things. So thanks for inspiring us. Now, whenever people ask me to introduce myself, we all have heard the very common question in interviews, right? Introduce yourself. And that's how I used to do it. But over the years, after finding purpose for myself, what I want to introduce myself as is, my name is Ashok Ramachandran. Leadership with love is a quote that defines me as a person. And my goal in life is to create an army of leaders who can go on to achieve obscene success in their professional and personal careers. So the first lesson I want to share with all the students is, as you go out to this difficult world of campus to corporate, start looking at finding the why of your existence. The way I defined or introduced myself was talking about the why. And everyone, I hope, has watched and read Simon Sinek's book about the power of why, and the reason why is important for companies to find, rather than just the what that you do. Because normally you would just say, I'm Ashok Ramachandran, I'm CEO and President of Schindler India. But the title doesn't define me as a person. What defines me is who I am and what can I do for myself and for people around me. And that's what I want each one of you to think about. Now, stories of success most of the times starts from humble beginnings. I mean, we saw the example from Prabhakaran sir about his humble beginnings in a very small town in India. I wasn't from a small town. I was from Chennai. It's a big city, of course, but came from a lower middle class family. And the most incredible thing that I always speak about to people is how I was academically so poor in my school and college, and how much unwanted importance is given to just the scores of exams. I mean, honestly, no company is going to ask you for your exam scores. Trust me. So don't attend your classes just to get the scores, but please learn the concepts. Like today, everyone after a bachelor degree wants to go and do a master degree. Why do you want to do a master degree? Oh, I need a salary increase. Please don't do MBA because you need a salary increase. Please do MBA because you want to learn something. And MBA is not a ticket for stardom. Just last week, in Schindler, one of my managers had completed his MBA from IIM, a distance education. And he said, sir, now I think my bracket is 40 lakh. So you should pay me 40 lakhs, then I will stay in the company. And I said, why do I care? It is not about you having a degree certificate in your hand. How do you bring it into the organization? So as a child, I was more into music. I was a trained classical singer. I wasn't so into a lot of other things. I also had a very unfortunate incident of being physically molested as a child, which got my self-confidence down. I had self-doubts about my own self. I wasn't studying so well. I thought, what am I going to achieve in life? And the most important thing which I recommend to students is, whilst you're studying, please use your evenings and weekends not to just keep scrolling Netflix and YouTube and Amazon Prime, but do some side hustling, do internships, do some part-time jobs, do some freelancing. The YouTube channel that I run, my video editor is a 12th standard student. He's earning few lakhs per year, few lakhs, not thousands. You can't just, I think Prabhakar also mentioned about it, you can't just go with a college degree and claim that as the only success. You get knowledge from the college and balance it with some practical knowledge from organizations. That's why I call it the biggest challenge today I think India has is campus to corporate transition. Most students are not work ready. When I interview, the biggest challenge I find is soft skills, communication skills, interpersonal skills, team handling skills. How do you communicate your thoughts to other teams? How do you convince people around you? When you start working, it is not like college. Everything is not very defined. You are in a gray area all the time. And you need to learn how to manage this gray area. You need to learn to work with ambiguity. Do you know one rule in Schindler we have? That we will hire fresh graduates after their first job. Do you know why? Research says, and practically what we see is, after the first year of the first job, most students quit their jobs. 1 year. So if I take you from college, after 1 year, you're going to leave me. Either you go overseas to study, or you're going to MBA to study, or you go to another company. Your focus of joining college is not only the placement. Placement is an outcome. Placement is an outcome of how well you've learned, how well you've developed yourself as a overall student. You make the college proud by not getting a gold medal only in your exams. You make the college proud by being a very good corporate citizen. You make your college proud by the behavior you show towards your fellow colleagues in future, respecting female, respecting diversity. You may be in the organization working with a gay or a lesbian or a bisexual or a male or a female or a Gujarati or a Punjabi or a Tamilian or a dark person or a bright person or a beautiful or a not so beautiful, tall, short. Do you treat them the same way as how you would like to be treated? Then your college will be very proud of you that we have developed a good student out of this college. You know, रट्टा मार की कोई भी मार्क लेके आ सकता है. That's not the only thing. It's much more than that. After my engineering college degree, 2 years, I was aimlessly working to find a proper job. I worked in a call center. I worked door-to-door sales, selling Nokia SIM cards. Now, any job is a good job. The other day, I had a conversation with a candidate from an MBA college, a premium college, and he said that his offer got receded. So he said, I'm desperately looking for a job. I have a 20 lakh loan to pay. I said, no problem. I can arrange for an interview. Would you accept an entry-level sales job? He said, no way I will accept an entry-level sales job. I need a product manager or a strategy manager or a something similar, marketing manager. Yeah, these 3 roles. And that too, I want only in Bangalore or Pune. I'm like, ये तो desperation नहीं दिख रहा है मुझे. इतना भी desperate नहीं हो. इतना choosy है. Now this student doesn't realize that companies are not stupid to pay a premium college person a very low salary because they will not stick. We also know that. But he lost a golden opportunity to make an impression with the CEO of a multinational company. How many CEOs today even reply to people on LinkedIn or social media? Very few. I have another same example of another premium college candidate who did not worry about it. He said, no problem, sir. He went to the interview. He did a great job. He impressed us and we made him an account manager. And we paid him much more than what he would have expected. Same story, 2 different people, how they handled their careers. So when you start working, please don't just chase a top brand and a top salary. It doesn't matter if any of your college friends have got a better company or a better salary in your head. It's all in your head, by the way. You may think it's a better company. You don't know till you work there. You want to choose a company, choose it based on the company culture. How would you know the company culture? Go and do some research online or talk to people who are working there. Don't choose a company based on salary and brand name only. Choose a company based on company culture. Who is your boss? What is your growth? Will they be providing you training and development? These are the questions you should be asking them back in the interview. If you're applying for a job, don't just send your resume. There are thousands of resumes that come. कुछ अलग सोचो. शायद एक 30 second का वीडियो बना के भेज सकते हो. You will be unique. You'll be the only person sending a video. I started working in Schindler 15 years ago as an entry-level graduate. Every role I did, I wanted to do it in a way that nobody else has done it so well. When I joined the company, I went to all the management team members and I said, what are the challenges you're facing in your department? Can I contribute? Can I help? I did not just do my job description. This is what today we see, They say, sir, this is not my job description. I won't do this. Then be happy with the 5% salary increase. Don't expect 25% salary increase. Don't expect a promotion. See, if you want to really be successful, you have to be different. You have to take risks. Even if you're submitting a project thesis to your professor, do something different that even you are amazed at it. Don't do it like everybody else. Network actively. Be active on social media. Put your thoughts. I became a young 28 years old. I became a general manager in Australia. I was managing a $100 million company. Everybody reporting to me was much older than me. But not even once I stood in a meeting and said, I'm the boss, you will listen to me. I said, we're all in this together. We all have different roles. Let's help each other. Let's make each other successful. Respect opinion of your senior experienced people. Even today, even in Schindler India, everybody in my team is older than me. But before taking any decision, I consult them. I value their advice. And then I take a call, I inform them, this is what I'm going to do. Do I have your consent? I believe that as a leader, you don't have to jump up and down. You don't have to shout. You don't have to command. You can do it with love. You can inspire people and make them listen to you without shouting at them. Then when I went to Vietnam as a managing director, I did something called crazy hiring. You know, good people are not looking for jobs in Naukri.com. They are very well taken care by existing organizations. You got to go and find them. I have hired people from from aeroplane. When I'm traveling, I talk to people next to me. I've hired people from social media, hired people from networking events. I once saw an ad of Indian School of Business in Facebook, connected with a student talking in that advertisement. Within 2 hours, we were on a call, and a month later, I've hired him. And today he is a department head for our Haryana branch. So this is the power of social media. But more than anything else, it's really about self-awareness and seeking regular feedback. You know, we don't have a lot of time today, so I'm rushing through normally what I would do for a long time. Let me summarize some key learnings. First one is network is your net worth. If you're going to be hanging around with friends who are always drinking and smoking and having drugs and, you know, having busy with relationships, that's your life. You choose, you decide. You are the average of the 5 people you are with all the time. So choose your people that you're hanging around with, number one. And network with people who are above your age, status, career, so you learn from them. Secondly, always seek and give feedback. I would say once a month, ask your professor, you're in college now, ask your teacher. Teacher, what is that one thing I'm doing well, one thing I can do even better? Genuinely पूछो, accept करो and उसके ऊपर काम करो. Work on it. Don't just take feedback. If you become a leader, don't think that you're a god. Even in college, I'm sure you will be taking some leadership roles, maybe committee leads for events. When you become a leader, you are becoming a servant. You know, in the government, they say they're government servants. Though Indian government, nobody is government servant, we are servant to them. But in real leadership, you should really behave like a servant to serve your people. So be open to be challenged. Don't behave like I'm the boss, so I know everything, I am correct. We don't know anything. Then choosing companies, I've already mentioned. And don't only choose the best locations like Bangalore, Pune, Hyderabad. I went to Vietnam. I didn't even know where is Vietnam. That gave me a huge boost in my career. Go out of your comfort zone. Live alone. Do part-time jobs. Learn the value of money. Then you will realize how much difficult it is. Your parents are, working hard to earn money. जब खुद का पैसा खर्चा करना है ना तो बहुत मुश्किल है. When you're spending parents' money, it's very easy. So do some side hustling and know the value of money. Lastly, have gratitude. Today, each one of you are extremely fortunate and lucky to study in this college, have these teachers, the parents you have, the friends you have. You have a laptop or a phone to look at this session today. You should be grateful every day. You should be thanking your stars every day. So have a lot of gratitude. Every day morning, I wake up at 4:45. I go to gym at 5:30. I exercise for an hour. When the gym was closed, I was exercising at home. I start work at 8 o'clock. I work till 6:30 maximum. Then I'm spending time with my family and my kids. I eat healthy. I keep a very fit life. I meditate every day. I do my prayers. You don't have to be religious, but be spiritual. Try to do some mindfulness exercise, some breathing exercise, even 5-minute meditation and a gratitude. Every day night, my whole family, we have a gratitude session. We even get my 4-year-old child to say, what are the 3 things you are happy about today or thankful about today? Have some good habits. And let me finish off by saying, please don't just listen to these 2 sessions and then tomorrow do the same as like what you do every day. You can do that. If you don't want your life to improve, you can do that. And I will give it in writing to you, 95% of people आप यही करेंगे. आप कुछ change नहीं होंगे. But 5% of you, you will change. That 5% will be the pride of this college. So whether you want to be the 5% or not, you decide, आप decide करो. And I would love to see these 5% in the coming years grow and succeed in life. Thank you so much for the opportunity. I hope it was a bit of an impact in your head to achieve success. Thank you.
Thank you so much, sir, for laying emphasis on soft skills and its vital importance for the campus to corporate transition. The knowledge that you've imparted on regarding how network is net worth is really amazing to listen to that. Also, the insights on what true learning is, hustle culture, company culture, is really, it will help us to strive what obscene success is in our paradigm as well. We are really grateful to you for joining us on this beautiful evening and creating a change in our mindset to inculcate the values that you've shared. So if anyone from the audience has questions, yeah, I can see a few questions. Sir,
Just a moment.
Yes, ma'am.
Ashok sir, you were totally on a different page from Prabhakaran sir, but it was really good, and the advice which you gave was also quite valuable, and I advise students to really take these things into account and try to change themselves the way you have told. Thanks a lot.
Thank you. No, I personally think that both of us said the same thing in different ways. That's all. In fact, if you look at his last slide he had, it was very similar, right? Fitness, learning.
Yes.
I think these are fundamentals, whether you're an entrepreneur or you're a corporate person.
But your gratitude and that might be
power of love and gratitude.
Yes, power of love and gratitude.
See, I
totally
think
different.
leadership itself has changed a lot. You can't now run as a leader and just boss over people. Nobody will listen to you, you know. That age is gone. Today we need leaders, and this also I would say, ma'am, for the professors as well, even for teachers, they really have to be more aware of student feedback and being humble and things like that, right? Otherwise, you know,
Actually,
students won't listen. Nobody listens these days. Even my own kids doesn't listen to me. So,
correct.
you know, that is the situation we are in.
Yes.
And I think it's only by influencing we can do that. We can influence people so they follow you.
Yes.
So you don't have to force them to follow you.
No, you can't force. That is the thing which we have learned, that you can't force anything on students. And not even our own children, we can't
Correct.
force anything. So how can we force anything on our students?
Correct.
But that we have learned hard way by
True.
going through the situations.
Correct.
Thank you, sir. Thanks a lot.
Thank you, ma'am. Thank you so much.
Sir, we have a question from Gaurav. He's asking, sir, if we think of starting something new, fear of failure is what strikes the first. How to tackle that?
You know, very common question I get asked about this all the time. What is the worst that can happen? The worst that can happen is failure. That's all. You're still alive. You're still kicking. You still have the energy, the passion. And if you fail, fail fast. That is the biggest advice I can give is you will always fail. You know, I failed my 11th chemistry, 11th physics. I failed a lot in my engineering as well. But every time I failed, I wanted to quickly bounce back and keep moving forward. If I sit on it, become anxious and start crying, and that's it, your life will go. So don't worry about failure. Everybody has failed. I don't think anybody can say they have never failed. We've all failed more than you can ever imagine. We don't actually, you may look at us and think, Arey, CEO hai, inko kya hai? That's all the front face. The back of us, nobody knows. So don't go worry about it, just keep going.
Thank you, sir. I think, Varad is asking, sir, how can we break the barrier of language or culture for networking international entrepreneurs or famous personalities?
You know, I worked in Malaysia and Vietnam, where Vietnamese and Malay, the predominant languages. I don't speak either of them. I think the power of love doesn't need any language. You would not believe, this is a really funny story. One of my closest friend is a Vietnamese who can't speak English, and I can't speak Vietnamese. We used to go for lunch. For a ghanta, we used to sit down. We will just talk through sign language. We will use Google Translate. There is so much about body language, the power of touch, just giving a hug has. So if you have language barriers, you can still express yourself. I mean, today, I think Translate is very easily available in everybody's phone itself. And people appreciate, even if you, for example, the first line is in the local language of that person, they appreciate even the effort you've taken. I don't think language is a barrier.
Moving on, Akash is asking, sir, recently there has been a different way of leadership, that is leading from behind. What are your views on this?
Absolutely. In fact, we even show the organizational chart upside down, you know. Usually in the org chart, you'll have the CEO on the top and your frontline on the bottom. But we have made it upside down. So the frontline is actually serving the customers. They are really the ones should be on the top. And the more down it comes, like my role, I'm the farthest away from a customer, technically. So I should be serving. So I certainly feel that I am behind every person in my company to help them succeed.
Thank you, sir. We have this last question from Rohit. He's asking, sir, please tell about the power of subconscious mind.
I'm a big believer in this. You know, I mentioned about spirituality. I think, unfortunately, in India, you know, parents have taught us about religion with the fear factor. There is no need to fear. In fact, what is God? God is nothing but nature. And the reason why all these things was bought by religions was to help us become mindful and focus on one thing. You know, the good old Dadima, Nanima having a Japamala and chanting Rama, Rama, Rama. The whole idea was focus, nothing else. Mindfulness, concentration. वो सब छोड़ के हमको क्या बोला था, you know, if you don't pray, you know, God will poke your eyes and you will have bad things. So because of which we don't understand. The biggest revelation for me during lockdown was when I did that inner engineering program, conducted by Sadhguru. And I'm not going to propagate about Sadhguru, whether he is good or bad or whatever, but the teaching was fundamentally, remember, you are responsible for everything in your life. And when we talk about subconscious mind, my wife and me, we had 3 miscarriages, and we never thought we will have kids. We actually wrote down on a piece of paper that October 2013, we will have a baby weighing 3 kilos. Every day we used to look at it. Every day we used to visualize as if it has happened. And you would not believe, 1st of October he was born, he was 2.9 kilos. Exactly whatever we wrote in the paper happened. Because your universe helps you. I believe in all these things. People may kind of laugh at it and think, maybe there are, see, everything has to happen. You have to take your health wise things as well. You can't just keep praying and assume everything will happen. That is stupidity. But my theory is simple. By thinking positive, are you losing anything? No, nothing negative is going to happen. So बुरा क्यों सोचना है? You think positive. It certainly works. It attracts people around you and right things will happen. Thank you.
Yes, sir. Sir, we have like 2 more questions. If you're down to that, is it okay if I address them to you? Okay, we have Aditya. He's asking, sir, you talked about good habits. What are the main traits you are looking for connecting with people that differentiate from the entire world?
I think most important thing is genuineness and honesty. A lot of people, and you can't define how do I know I'm genuine. It has to be there in you. It has to be from the body language. Like when somebody speaks, whether they're being genuine, they're being honest, are they really bringing passion? So I look for passion. I look for energy. I look for people who are prepared to accept their mistakes. In common answer in interviews is any weakness, they give fluffy answers. I love candidates to say, these are my 2 weakness, 3 weakness, because it shows self-awareness. If you ask me, I will clearly tell you my weaknesses because I know exactly what I have to improve. I don't want to show off that I have no weakness. I'm not God. Nobody is God. Everybody has weakness. You will not lose a job interview because of weakness. And if you do lose it, please remember it means that there is a mismatch between the role and your skills. But it is not about you. It is about your skills. For example, if we need somebody for a product manager role and you have HR domain, maybe there is a mismatch. So you don't have to lie to pretend as somebody else. Just be genuine, honest, and don't just connect with people with some motive of benefit chahiye mujhe. I'm sure all of us have friends who only call us when they want something. And this is the most irritating thing, So I'm a person, I'm still in touch with my first mentor in Australia in 2006, who gave me a lot of advice. Even till today, every year I send him a thank you email during Christmas. So things like that, you should sustain your relationship, sustain your network. This will help you somewhere in life. Thank you.
Thank you, sir. Again, we have from Pranav. He's asking, sir, I feel lack of motivation for starting anything different. Even having the confidence, the urge to get up and act does not come naturally. Please guide me on this.
What is that you really want to achieve? You need to find out, do you want to be an average person? Then it's okay. But you can't have an extraordinary passion to life and just do the same. It has nothing to do with physical. It is a mental thing. During lockdown, I lost about 20 kilos. And I've never been fitter ever in my life. I turned 40 last year. I've never been so fit in my life. Even as a student, I wasn't so fit. Why was I finally able to do it? Because mentally I decided कि I don't want to look like an uncle with my young kids around. I wanted to look like a young CEO. So you have to get it into your head. What that you really want to achieve in life? You can't depend on external motivation. That is why I actually mentioned that the amount of knowledge that Prabhakar sir and myself have shared, if you just don't practice it, it is a waste of time. You have to write now. I hope that you all have a notebook where you've written down 3 things you've learned from each one of us. And kal se you have to make it a habit. How do you make it a habit? Have reminders in your calendar, make stickers, put it around your house. Have a commitment buddy, somebody who will actually keep asking you, Sorry, you said you're going to practice this. Are you practicing every day? Then you see your life changing. If your life doesn't change, please call me. Thank you.
Sir, can I give a very brutal, quick tip to solve this problem?
Yeah, sure, sir.
So I suggest you skip your dinner every day, and you put yourself that I will eat dinner only if I do something more than what I am doing so far. So that will help you to wake up early, and it will motivate you to earn the dinner. Thank you.
Very good idea. Prabhakar, what I do is also, I think of extreme things, right? Like if I don't do this today, something will happen, something that really make me afraid. So everyone, we can actually think of something that really will motivate you to do things. Anyway, students, I will share you my, social media handles on the chat box. You can connect with me. If you can't answer all the questions today, you can DM your questions to me separately and I'll be more than happy to answer. Thank you so much for the opportunity to the school, to the college, and to all the students. Thank you.
Thank you, sir. I'm sure everyone from the audience will inculcate your valuable insights that you've given to us. We can clearly see the encouragement that is being given in the audience. Now, Now I'd like to request our Dean Student Affairs, Dr. P.R. Dhamangakar, sir, to address the audience. Please, sir.
Good evening. First of all, on behalf of College of Engineering, Pune, I welcome Mr. Ashok and Mr. Prabhakar. Both the sessions, they were really fruitful, giving some sort of value addition to even me also. The entire spectrum was different, but converging to one simple goal, that to succeed in life. Method may be different, but goal is same, that is to succeed in life. On today's day, that is World Entrepreneurship Day, I welcome all and I wish all the best to each and every budding engineer. We have gone through the concept of gig economy and it is now really a word of importance. I always say that this generation, today's generation, the engineers, I say that they are lucky because they have faced this COVID-19. It is a really surprising statement that facing or seeing the COVID-19 unprecedented situation, how it can be a lucky situation. So I say that yes, this generation is lucky because at the age of this 58, probably I will be retiring after 22 months. So I have seen this situation at the fag end of my life, my service life. The situation of extreme wrongness, extreme situations, risk and whatnot. But this generation is seeing this situation at the start of their career. So they will definitely come up with finding out solution to tackle with such type of extraordinary extreme situations. And this way they are indirectly lucky. Gig economy is now impacting even the technical education. Dear friends, probably in coming future, no one will be giving you the permanent job, what they have already said, that it will be a contract basis job. And that's why, in addition to what your core discipline, maybe mechanical, maybe electrical, maybe civil, maybe electronics, whatever it is, you should be a bundle of multi skills, not only a single skill. Because the employment or the venture that you will be giving, it will not be a salary, it will not be a paid job, but you will have to search and you will have to use your skills to earn your bread and butter. You will have to be a hunter, the perfect word that sir has used, that you should be a perfect hunter. And in such case, the sale, that is entrepreneurship sale that we are having at our campus, you should use this sale in a very positive way. You should try on your own. I will suggest that whatever facilities we are with us, you should use those facilities. Even the students with our policy which we are introducing, the student, they can be running their own business. So they should bring some business, they should use facilities, they should use the knowledge that we have and come up with their solutions. This will help them to prosper. We have created an ecosystem to support the students. And yes, do come and use this ecosystem. Nowadays, different opportunities are available. The online opportunities are available, offline opportunities are available. In short, whatever 24 hours are with you, those should be very, very minimum for you. You should use maximum out of those 24 hours. Always keep yourself busy in some or the other things. Not only, I am not saying that the work or the job, but even your family life, your hobbies. But see that all positive things are there in your mind and your life. This is important as far as success is concerned. I like two things very most. The first is that the power of love. And yes, it is indeed a power of love. You can make mind, you can change mind using your power of love. And you should have a word of inspiration. Always try to inspire the persons around you. Maybe your even parents, maybe your friends, anybody, but see that they get inspired. My dear friends, the today's two sessions, they were really so beautiful that I am fortunate to witness these sessions. And on this day, I wish each and every person to get ready for the skill economy. And now the trend is changing. The trend is changing. In our days, we were ambassadors of knowledge economy. Whatever is there, it was hired. But now you should be the ambassador of skill economy. Try to develop as many skills as possible. Don't get yourself in a framework of your branch or your discipline. And that is why, as most of you must be knowing, that World Trade Organization has already listed down 10 life skills. And those life skills must be there. So such type of activities which we start on our campus. I'm proud to say that we have nearly 50 plus different clubs on my campus. And in the capacity of Associate Dean Student Affairs, I'm proud to say that yes, we take all pains to nurture our students, to give them opportunity to excel. I think this is the only college we had 4 world records to its credit. Of course, now those world records are broken. But yes, records are there to get broken. But this is the college we had which created 4 world records using whatever facilities with us. So it is my appeal to students to get benefited from this all facilities. Forget about whether it is off campus or on campus or online. Whatever is available, use it and use it with a specific intention. All your activities should be with some intention, with some goal. Without any goal, there is no meaning to life. So my dear friends, I take this opportunity on the World Entrepreneurship Day. Wish you all the best, get success, and of course, give back to the society. We try to get masters, we go to foreign countries, but definitely see that what you give back to our alma mater, and at the same time, what you give back to our motherland. Flourish, but always think that you are needed by our motherland. So I wish you all the best, and thank you, Mr. Ashok and Mr. Prabhakar. It was really worth listening to you.
Yes.
Yes, it is worth listening. And yes, what you rightly said,
both of you.
Yeah, I have noted down all your points, and definitely these are added a value to my life today. I got benefited. So thank you very much and wish you all the best for giving me an opportunity to interact with you and wish you all the best. Thank you.
Thanks a lot, Dhamangaonkar sir. Your words have added an immense value to the event. Yeah, I'm sure all of us have learned many things from all of our dignitaries, and I'm sure all of us will implement them into our day-to-day life moving forward. I would now like to call upon the former secretary of BHAUS ECEL, Master Krishna Vath, to share his experience of being a part of ECEL and successfully conducting Pune Startup Fest 21 virtually.
Thank you, Kimaya. Hello, everyone. Respected Dean Faculty Affairs, MJ Rathod sir, Dean Student Affairs, PR Dhamangaonkar sir, Honorable Chief Guest of the event, Mr. Ashok Ramchandran sir, and Prabhakaran sir, all the faculty members, and my dear friends. Today, on the occasion of World Entrepreneurs Day, I feel immense pleasure to address everyone about the progress innovation and entrepreneurship has seen in these recent years. I would not consider the world into picture very immediately, but I would just like to talk about India, that India has now more than 20 plus unicorn startups in just 2021, which is a big impetus and a big motivation for all to enlighten the entrepreneur within us and give and boost to all the ideas and ideologies that we have. The world has turned unorthodox and unconventional in the recent years. When autopilot, optic fibers, 5G, rental cars at doorsteps, and VI seemed just an imagination, it is the spirit of entrepreneurship, the ideas for transformation, and the relentless leadership that has made it convert into a living reality. As a student of COEP and former secretary of BHAUS ECEL, I feel extremely proud to have experienced more than 2 years exploring the entrepreneurial community and promoting the culture in the society. With the world sinking in COVID chaos and with an introduction of the virtual transition, all the sectors of living and survival faced the major blow. But ECEL's quest and determination never stopped in upbringing new ideas and creativity. Throughout the academic year 2020 and 2021, we conducted more than 15 virtual activities, which witnessed participation of more than 1,000 students and around 200 faculty. Pune Startup Fest 21, the third edition of the Entrepreneurship Mega Conclave and its very first virtual edition, was conducted in Feb under the banner of Startup India, Amazon Web Services, and Sakal Media Group. And we also witnessed the presence of Mr. Harsh Mariwala sir, MD Marico Industries, and famous influencers like Aman Dhattarwal, Abhi, and Neo. The fest saw a footfall of around 10,000, eliminating the misconceptions that online fests are boring. Today, on this occasion of World Entrepreneurs Day, I would definitely ask everyone to enlighten the leader within you and keep elevating all the creative ideas and convert them into a revolutionary ideology. IIC COEP, BHAUS ECEL, and College of Engineering Pune have relentlessly worked on implementing this startup policy for all the students. That is definitely going to benefit all the student entrepreneurs and uplift their ideas. The curriculum also helps all the students to achieve different heights of innovation. Then, may it be the mini project, may it be the major project that we do in BTech, may it be some assignments, may it be the hackathons. No matter what domain and career choice you make, the creative aspect and spirit of innovation shouldn't fade away. Because always remember, what we have today is good, but what we can achieve tomorrow will definitely be better. Lastly, I would definitely thank Prabhakaran sir and Ashok sir for their key insights on self-improvement and how we can evolve the leader within us. I wish the new team all the very best and congratulate everyone on this successful inauguration. Thank you for this opportunity and support I have got from all of you for the past year, and wishing everyone good health. Thank you so much.
Thank you, Krishna. You've always been the amicable senior we want and the great leader that you are. Now, I'd like to invite Kaivalya to propose the vote of thanks. You aren't audible, Kaivalya.
Okay, am I now?
Yeah,
Yes. Sorry. Good evening, everyone. Honorable Dean, Faculty Affairs Professor MJ Rathod, sir. Our panelists for today, Mr. Ashok Ramachandran and Mr. Prabhakar Murugaya. Dean Student Affairs, Dr. P.R. Dhamangaonkar, sir. Our faculty advisors, Dr. Madhuri Kanik, ma'am, and Professor Rahul Adhav, sir. All the alumni, faculties, ISC members, and all my dear friends. Myself, Kaivalya Nandurkar, Secretary for BHAUS ECL 2021-2022, takes immense pleasure and express my sincere gratitude to all the people who made this inauguration a successful event today. Now I know I'm standing between you and your dinner, but before I let you go, I would be failing in my duty if I don't thank the people who have graced today's event. So I would just take a short time of yours, and I would like to start off by expressing my sincere gratitude to our Dean Faculty Affairs, Professor MJ Rathod, sir, for his constant support. My heartfelt gratitude goes to our panelists today, Mr. Ashok Ramachandran. Thank you so much for sparing out the time from your schedule and giving us such wonderful insights. And also, I have noted all the things that you and Prabhakaran sir have shared. So it was extremely helpful for us. I would like to thank Mr. Prabhakaran sir for his truly motivational thoughts. I thank our faculty advisors, Dr. Madhuri Kanik ma'am and Professor Mr. Rahul Adhav sir for being the strongest pillar and always guiding us, and for all the faith they are showing in us. I thank our Dean Student Affairs, Dr. P.R. Dhamangaonkar, sir, for guiding and mentoring us and showing faith in us. I would like to thank all the alumni, faculties, ISC members who attended today's event. My heartfelt gratitude to everyone from the audience for your cooperation throughout the event. I thank Krishna for sharing his experience with us. And before going, last but not the least, this type of event cannot happen overnight. The wheels start moving days and months ago. It requires proper planning and bird's eye for every details that happens. And despite the doom and gloom of the pandemic, we have been fortunate enough to have the strong team who have worked extremely hard to organize this event. I thank the entire core team for their constant efforts and hope that we'll continue to organize events and all the future endeavors with the same spirit and enthusiasm that we have. I hope everyone had a great time, and I officially conclude that BHAUS ECL Inauguration 2021 is successfully conducted. And now I will let you all go. Thank you so much.
Thank you. Thank you. Thank you.
Thank you all.
Yes, we can end the meeting now.
Yes, ma'am.
Thank you.
All right. Thank you so much, guys.
you.
Everyone, you can leave.